Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to RickCast, the show that is made possible by you, where we gather every night, at least Monday through Friday, and we kind of break down and talk about what's going on in the world and why should we even care about it. So it's a wonderful Friday night. Thank you for hanging out with me here on this program across the spectrum, and not the TISM spectrum, actually talking about the spectrum of channels and places, from YouTube to Getter to Rumble to X to D Live to Twitch, to the one person on Twitch I always support and I always appreciate you being there. It is a Friday night. It's a Friday night in the summer, so it may be a quick show again. Now that I'm back in the comforts of home, safely back from good old San Antonio. Don't know if I really like San Antonio. Just don't really like it. I mean, it's not a bad city, obviously. There's nothing terrible about it. I don't get a good. I don't know if you subscribe to this. Let me know if you do. Do you subscribe to like the vibes idea, as the kids call it, vibes? I don't like San Antonio's vibes. I've been there a couple times and just nothing good comes from it. Just don't like the vibes that come from San Antonio. So I think that streak continues with this last trip. I mean, the trip wasn't bad. It's just the vibes I get from that place. Maybe it's because the Riverwalk smells. I don't know. It is what it is on a bunch of things. So we'll see how that goes. Sorry about that. But back home, back safely on this wonderful Friday night. I hope you're enjoying your Friday night. You have made it to the weekend. Hopefully it is the weekend for you and you don't have to keep working. I mean, I got to work. I got an LTC class tomorrow. That's not bad. I like doing those. I enjoy teaching, doing the firearm stuff. So that's not really work for me. Ooh, hold on. Forgot my little light. I was looking at it in the background. I'm like, my light's not on. And, if the beacon of Gondor isn't lit, then how can this show even function? It can. It's just not as fun. So anyway, we have a good show lined up for you, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about how, speaking of jobs, how there's a report out that supposedly, and of course, is from an AI CEO. So I guess take it with the biggest grain of salt or not, that AI is going to take 50% of entry level jobs in the next couple of years. 50% of entry level office jobs. So good for them, I guess. I don't know what those people are going to do, but they'll figure it out, right? They'll be fine. Good evening. Yeah, McBee, you're right. It is a liberal town, and you can kind of smell the stench on it. So that's probably a good point. I like that. Good evening, Mark. Thank you for hanging out with me. I appreciate it as always. So no, I think right now you should, if you don't have what they would call an AI proof job, it may be time to really cement your ability to AI proof your job. The remedial stuff is going. I mean, obviously the Waffle House, you can always work there, and be fine there. But if you can AI proof your job, it might be a good time to do so. But maybe that's a reason why Trump wants to bring back manufacturing, right? Because AI can't do I mean, you could robotics wise break it down to the nitty gritty, but up until then, I mean, I don't know if that technology's that close to something like that, but we'll see how that is. So we'll talk about that. Then the Washington state case, where the governor passed a law saying that priests have to give up information from confessionals. They essentially have to break the seal of confession. If you haven't heard this story, the governor, a Catholic, a Catholic in name only, signed a bill that said if you are a priest and you hear something in the confessional, especially linked to SA, CSA, if you get what I'm talking about, you have to report it to police. And the bishop was like, we work with the state and we do a lot with the state as far as that goes, but we cannot break the seal of confessional. And so now he is fighting back. Good to see. This is an interesting story. Airlines are starting to sneakily, quietly charging more for solo travelers. Very interesting in that regard, because the majority of solo travelers you'll find are one of two classes: business, which they do business class anyway, they have their own separate thing, and then you have like the lifestyle Instagram YouTubers who do the traveling, mostly women. Today I'm in Morocco and I'm at this beautiful resort. It's like, okay, yeah, no, you whatever. So you have those. So it's kind of a pushback on the Instagram streamer lifestyle, because they're annoying people anyway, because they're filming on takeoff and all these other things. There's like, can you put the phone down for 5 seconds, please? Or not. And then finally, movie theaters are trying to get more of a seat at the Oscar table, which I actually think is a brilliant idea, because movie theaters and movie theater owners are some of the only people that actually watch most to, if not all, the films that come out. Simply because, if you don't know, when I used to work at a movie theater, I was a projectionist for a while. And when they say if you could only do one job the rest of your life, what would it be? I would say film projectionist, if I could. If I could find a way to be a film projectionist again, it's a great job for somebody as prickly as I am. You don't work with other people most of the time. You're up in your little booth cave. You see all the films. You got to, but the thing is, anyway, that's a different point. You have to when the films come, they don't come in like a DVD or anything. They come in the actual film. I don't know how it is now. I haven't worked in a theater in probably 25 years. But back, I know, golly, it's 20 years I haven't been in a movie theater. But when they came in big cans of film, and you'd have to, splice them together and then break them down, however it would be. And then you'd have to film it. You'd have to run it through to make sure it's all set up and correctly, and it's in the correct order, and whatever the case may be. And so as an end up, a lot of people, your projectionists are the ones that see all the films, and movie theater owners would literally just give that vote to their head projectionist who sees all these films, and they would be a lot more qualified to vote on Oscars than most of the actors. Well, maybe I would. Maybe I would, Mark. Maybe that was my calling and I just missed it. Maybe I'm not supposed to do this whole streaming thing. Maybe I should just be a prickly union man, fighting for the union workers. We all have talents, right? Anyway, so that's gonna be our show tonight. I got one hot take beforehand. Good old Tomi Lahren, resurfaces, pushing her covert feminism. I'm not gonna lie, Tommy's looking old for supposedly trying to be a a hot conservative influencer girl. She's starting to look it. She's 32, man. She's getting in influencer e-girl circles. She's practically, a skeleton. But let's get to that. Anyway, if you like the show, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell for all the fun things, help the show grow. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. The show's only good when you guys comment on the show, and I get to interact with you on that. That's how this show really, it does kick off, is because you guys interact with me, and you let the show be better than I could ever make it. So let's get into our only hot take of the night. And I know I am a fat, average looking man at best. How can I dare talk bad about the supposedly gorgeous
has been
Tommy Robinson? Well, Tommy's been around for a while. Tommy's starting to look her age for, her only qualification being supposedly quote unquote hot. And I've talked about this with Megyn Kelly, talked about this with many conservative influencer women, that most conservative women who have shows or are influencers or whatever the case you want to call them secretly push what I like to call, and everybody else calls, covert feminism. They're just feminists on the right. And you'll hear it once again in this clip from the Getting Close to Pasture Tomi Lahren. Oh, I know, Rick, you're a misogynist. You know what? Let's throw the misogyny alert out here since I'm going to get the misogyny label. Now that we have correctly identified that I am a misogynist for calling out the fact that Tommy Lauren has done nothing for the conservative movement except made it progressively dumber in her time period that she has existed within it, she's going to once again push the idea of covert feminism, right? This idea that, oh, well, it undermines the part of the conservative movement that is appealing to young men, because the conservative movement right now appeals to young men, especially in the fact that most young men are finding faith. They're going back to Christianity. So it's a perfect place for the feminists to send in their supposedly attractive women and convince men that all the things that you believe in are just silly and stupid. And let me play Tommy Lauren right here.
It's a major problem. And, Speaker Johnson has been talking about those maybe deadbeat folks that are on Medicaid, and maybe some of those folks are the stay-at-home sons. We don't know. But
so the rise of the stay-at-home son is this segment between Laura Ingraham and Tommy. And of course, Tommy's going to come out here and she's going to bash the stay-at-home son. And so she's going to bash them, but the stay-at-home son is the Gen Z, Gen Alpha, maybe. I don't even know what the gens are anymore. Let me know if I'm on or off on this. Who have been pushed out of the labor market because, as Mark identified earlier when we were talking about AI jobs, most of the entry-level jobs are held by women. There are a lot of jobs that are held by women that price men out. Their men don't have an opportunity for it. So they can't get the entry level jobs, then they can't move up the ladder. They have been pushed out of universities. Most people at universities are either foreigners or women. The only men on campus are the athletes, essentially. So men have been pushed out of the labor force. Men have been pushed out of the education system. The only place that they're even being accepted are trade schools. And that's if they even want to pursue them. And lastly, they have been pushed out of the dating market by women like Tommy, who, by the way, if you know what these things are, Tinder, one of the apps, dating apps, they now put a height filter on for women so they can filter out, all the short kings like myself. I, of course, being the short emperor, this does not please me because my short kings everywhere are being frozen out because some TikTok algorithm by the Chinese convinced all women that they're all tens and they all deserve 6-foot men that make $600,000 a year, which is just now how that works. So they've been pushed out of the labor force. They've been pushed out of the education force, and they've been pushed out of the dating pool. Tommy, your job, Tommy, actually has frozen some probably well-qualified man out, right? What she does, man could easily do, if not better. Most of her takes sound like they come from Chat GPT anyway. And so we have this this setup where she's calling them deadbeats and losers, despite the fact that Tommy's been engaged like 4 times. And she's 32 with no kids. Just understand that. She's 32, not married, with no kids. Now, that's fine. That's, life happens. I'm not condemning her because of that set of circumstances. I'm going to condemn her because she, in this position, as a engaged woman of 32 years of age who will probably use IVF to have kids with no kids, she is going to lambaste all these men that the reason they stay in their basements or they stay at home is because society has turned its back on them. Society's been turning its back on men for about 10 years, 15 years now. And only now are conservatives. Trump was really the one who looked into middle America and said, you guys need to be helped. It wasn't the GOP. GOP could care less. Anyway, let's listen to sage wisdom from Chat GPT Lauren.
I'll tell you this, leave it to Gen Z to rebrand laziness and social awkwardness as something cutesy, like a stay-at-home son. They did much the same thing with quiet quitting, where you can go to work and do less, and if you call it quiet quitting, it's somehow better.
Tommy Lauren got a job because a producer thirsted after her. If you actually look into her employment history, she was like, I think she was interning, or she was at an entry-level position. I think it was One American News. And some producer thought, was thirsty after her and gave her a job. She was never qualified for it. So the fact that she's going to now comment on, Gen Z, you're not honey, you're getting too old to try and be like with the hipster fun talk. You're not that girl anymore. You need to be transitioning into different things. You need to move on because you're not the youngin in this space. There are 22, 23-year-old girls that are ready to fill that spot. And so it's funny that she's like, they're so lazy. Considering that you have operated under the pretty privilege your entire life, you have no idea. You have no idea, Tommy, what it takes for a guy to apply to every single job, to be told they're not tall enough, they don't have enough hair, their jawline's not strong enough, whatever the case may be. And just because some producer was thirsty for you, you got all of this, despite the fact that you're not very sage in the ways of political correctness. And now you're getting to be too old to be let's go to the young girl to tell us how that is. There's this girl on Pop Culture Crisis, Mary Morgan. She's going to fill your job. She's like 23. As soon as Fox News and these other places, she's already big on the Daily Wire because she hangs out with Michael Knowles and those guys. As soon as she breaks into this, you're done, Tommy. You're going to be put out to pasture. So you might start correcting your attitude.
But Laura, I got to tell you, this is also a big problem when it comes to, I think, declining birth rates, people not getting married and having children.
Tommy Lauren is not married and has no kids. Now, you can look, Rick, you don't have kids. God's providence. That's why it was. It is what it is in that regard. But Tommy has actually come out and said she's pro-abortion. Remember the reason she got fired from the Blaze? Because she's been around. She started at One American News, then she went to the Blaze. She got fired from the Blaze, then she went to Fox. She's made the rounds on all of these places. She's pro-abortion. She's probably pro-IVF too.
That's a big problem. They blame it on women. Well, look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim.
Sweetheart, that's because y'all been brainwashed by TikTok to look for the 6-foot man. You can't be below 6 feet. Was it 6 feet, 6 figures, 6 something? You guys can figure it out. And so hundreds of good men who may be 5'11" or 5'9", who are, truck drivers or in construction or a plumber or any of these other things, because that cannot satiate the TikTok lifestyle and women being social creatures. It's embarrassing to be married to a plumber or an HVAC tech, or if they're not in these flashy jobs that can give them 6-figure lifestyles that they apparently deserve. Because the question, and I forgot the guy's name, so forgive me. And just I forget the guy's. He's Andrew something. He was on Louder with Crowder today. What are women obligated to do now? What are they obligated to do? When they come to a relationship? Will they have children, or will they go for their career, or what are these things here? And so she's like, the pickings are slim. Well, honey, you've ran through at least 5 of them because of your position. And the fact is, men don't have an opportunity in the workplace. They don't have an opportunity in the education system. They don't have opportunities because women have taken those positions. They have taken those opportunities. And also, dating apps have now given women access to hundreds of men. It used to be the women in the town or even in the small city had a pool of men to pick from. And they picked Justin on their, whatever the case may be. Now, either through Instagram or TikTok, they can go on there and get all kinds of affection and admiration. If you're a guy who's dating one of these Instagram girls or whatever, you're competing against 100,000 other men telling your girlfriend that she's beautiful and she's perfect. And you can never have a fight with her, and you can never tell her she's wrong because she'll dump you and go back on the app, post a thirsty picture, and get 500 guys to tell her she's perfect until she gives out. And so when she starts to blame men, this is all covert feminism. I'm going to shut up for I'm going to shut up for the next couple minutes and let her rail through her covert feminism.
Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men. There are a lot of young women out there that want to get married. They want to have kids. They want,
like you, Tommy? You with your husband and your many children? Or did you put your career first?
to have stable families, but there are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash, and therein lies a big part of the problem.
I mean, that is covert feminism to the max. Covert feminism to the max. These men are just lazy. These men are they want to sit in mama's basement and order DoorDash. That's because they got rejected 500 times on Tinder or on Hinge or whatever they are. And now there's a trend where average looking women, yeah, Rick, you're ugly. Cheers. I know. Average looking women are going on social media sites and they're like, why are all the women gorgeous and all the men ugly? Okay, well, honey, enjoy your 20s because your 30s are going to suck. And this is all a product of women like Tommy. And Tommy's on Fox News to push this agenda, to push this message. Women, you're fine, perfect. It's the men. It's the fact you want to get married and have families. It's men's fault that you keep saying, oh, well, I deserve a 10. I don't deserve the nice guy that's, I don't know, pick a middling. I don't want to pick the nice guy who's an account. He works for State Farm Insurance. I don't want to date the insurance salesman. I want to date the mayor's son or something stupid like that. Right? Oh, this guy's really nice, but he gives me the ick because he wears brown shoes. Like, what are you freaking talking about? Yeah, I know, Mark. We could absolutely do an entire show on this whole thing. Yeah, beware of them, Michael. You're correct on that. So I've spent like 15 minutes talking about this because it burns me. Because men have been absolutely tossed to the side. And then you have women like Tommy coming out there who have been given everything. They've been given everything. And really, social media, YouTube, all of this stuff have been designed to cater to women because you don't have to be very good. Like if I was a female, if average attractiveness, whatever the case may be, but if I was a female with these same topics and these same talking points, I'd probably have 1,200 to 1,500 people watching me. Just because it promotes females more to get them, to do these shows, to get this admiration. It appeals to their vanity. So I just saw that today, and of course I had to speak on it. So thank you, Tommy. All right, this is RickCast. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, and we'll move on. Oh, at 44, she was ready. Oh, good thing, Mark. Not too late at all. You did you walk out? Did you just walk? You're like, okay. That's not really. I mean, you might maybe if that's the case, but I wouldn't count on it. I wouldn't count on it, sweetie. She wanted a horse farm. Is that all? She just wanted a horse farm? Is that it? Anything else I can do for you, princess? Every one of these women reminds me of Princess Vespa from Spaceballs, right? Where she has to, and the scene in particular is when she's in the desert and she's made Barf and the other guy carry her hair dryer, and he's like, I said only what you need to survive. And she's like, I need my hair dryer. And he goes, welcome to real life. And he tosses the thing. Every woman nowadays is essentially Princess Vespa. Right? They're all Princess Vespa. They all think they're princesses and they all deserve everything. And they're just, you can't tell them wrong. You can't correct them. And it's always your fault. So, yeah, welcome to the dating pool, gentlemen. And Tommy Lauren is your main reason why, or, a great example. And of course, when I made a comment on X, I had a bunch of guys go, I'll take one for the team. I'll try it. Go ahead, bud. Like 5 other dudes have tried. When I say 5, I mean like seriously dated her. Who the hell knows outside of that? But I know she's been engaged at least 2 or 3 times. So a couple guys have taken a run at it and have been like, I'm done. Actually, let's see if how many times, I don't want to speak out of turn, that's why. Has Tommy Lauren been engaged? Because I don't want to speak out of, if I'm speaking incorrectly, I want to make sure of it. She's been engaged twice. My apologies. 2 guys have tried to put a ring on it. Oh, she's actually married. She married a guy in 2022. My apologies, man. You are married. So that whole segment was wrong. I'll have to put a note on that when I do the when I upload it. I'm sorry. Tommy Lauren is married, no kids. So yeah. Anyway, so it is what it is in that regard. Let's get to our next story here. Anthropic CEO Dario Amadello. Can we just have normal names? Like, who is this guy? Amodeli warns all AI could eliminate 50% of entry-level office jobs. Now, we talk about AI a lot on this program, at least in the context of the film industry and what's going on there. But it's also going to have massive implications over the business community as well. And we're starting to see the warning signs of that. Anthropic CEO Dario Amati is warning that AI could end up causing mass elimination of jobs in technology, finance, law, and consulting, among other professions, as well as wipe out half of all entry-level white-collar jobs. Amati, who leads one of the world's most powerful AI companies, told Axios that most lawmakers are unaware this is about to happen. I think they are, but they're just trying to hold it back. Yeah, I think they're trying to hold it back at this point, just because once AI is truly unleashed on the market, it will be a cataclysmic event. I don't think people understand right now how life-altering AI is going to be. Yeah, I agree. I think he's being conservative because he doesn't want to scare people off. The Anthropic CEO said AI companies and the government need to stop sugarcoating what will happen next, which he warns could be a mass erasure of jobs in a variety of fields and the axing of nearly all entry-level white-collar jobs, which Amani says will lead to a 10 to 20% spike in unemployment for the next 1 to 5 years. We, as the producers of this technology, have a duty and an obligation to be honest about what is coming. I don't think this is on people's radar. He's correct. Most people don't even understand. They think of AI, they still think it's 10, 20 years in the future. They don't understand that AI is writing things as we speak. They're writing, companies have gotten in trouble for having AI write articles and all of these other things. It's a very strange set of dynamics. What we're saying, you should be worried about where technology we're building is going, acknowledging that he's building up the very technology he suspects will swiftly transform society. Amati said that 3 solutions are currently playing out in real time. The show no signs of changing, adding that it will result in the elimination of a slew of white-collar jobs. So first, AI companies will continue growing their technology, getting to a point where artificial intelligence meets or beats human capabilities. Second, the US government will do nothing out of fear of losing to China or scaring American workers. Third, most of the public will remain unaware of AI's ever increasing power and its threat to many jobs. Eventually, business leaders will see the savings associated with replacing humans with AI and will implement this on a massive scale, the CEO says, adding that he believes this will occur almost overnight, with the public only realizing it when it's too late. Right now, AI tools are mainly used to help people with their jobs, but that's what the public doesn't realize is that the AI will go from assisting people to actually doing their jobs in a couple of years or less. It's going to be pretty nasty. I agree, Bellator. It's already been released, and the market and the consumer market will demand competition. You're correct on that. It's going to end a lot of people's careers, even the people telling us to learn to code. That's the thing. Like, if you're a data analyst or a coder or any of these things, you have to look at it and be like, I need to go find something else because AI will be good enough to do data analytics and, all, project management and all these other kinds of things. And it's just going to absolutely wipe us out. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people, I think I don't think it's out of ignorance. I think it's just out of kind of the ostrich burying your head in the sand and hoping that it just doesn't get worse. And so it's going to be a nasty thing. And that's maybe why I said earlier in the show, maybe that's why Trump is really hitting on hey, we need to bring manufacturing back, because that'll at least be something you could kind of hurdle people towards. Hey, it may not be, great, but you can go build iPhones or go build cars or something else. And I get it. You guys are going to scream automation at me, and I understand that, but I have a feeling like with unions and things in place that those will be the last to go. We've talked to scores of CEOs at companies of various sizes and across many industries. Every single one of them is working furiously to figure out when and how agents or other AI technologies can displace human workers at scale. The second these technologies can operate at human efficiency levels, which could be 6 months to several years, it's probably within 12 to 18 months, companies will shift from humans to machines. But the Anthropic CEO claims there are a few ways to prevent the worst case scenario. He says, first step is to warn the public that due to AI, some jobs are too vulnerable to rely on a career path. Meanwhile, AI companies and government should be more transparent and admit how the technology will soon be affecting the workforce. Say what you will about Elon Musk, he does say all this. He does try to acknowledge all of this as well. And so your trades, if you can get into a trade right now, AI cannot be a locksmith. AI can't be a plumber. Those are going to be the places to go. Ironically enough, AI may be a solution to our H1B problem, and it is something that's once AI can do every call center job anywhere. I know I already hate talking to a machine, but it's going to be far cheaper for AI to be your call center response than people. Some companies will keep humans on as a premium feature maybe, but the days of the mass call centers will come to an end. Think about that. You're going to have to pay probably a premium because you'll go through like whatever plan you have. You'll have to pay a premium to speak to a human being because you'll be routed into the AI the entire time. So, if you want to, you can speak to one of our agents, but it's going to cost you like 50 cents a minute or something like that. And they'll bill you after if you can't figure it out on the AI. I'm telling you, they're going to have to do something like that. And it'll be a privilege to speak to a person on the other side of the phone because right now they'll just push you into the AI part. Second, Modi believes job losses can be slowed down by encouraging people to become more familiar with AI so they can use it to assist them in their jobs, insisting that they have a better understanding of the technology will at least give them a shot at navigating it. And third, he suggests that lawmakers become more informed on the issue, advising the creation of a joint committee on AI, hosting formal briefings, and so forth. The CEO said he would like to see discussions on how policies can be implemented by the American worker if the U.S. economy becomes dominated by AI. I think despite the scary headline, this is something that people need to do. They need to do it. I get it. I get it. I right now it's not fun to speak to people overseas, but if smart companies are going to have that premium where like you want to talk to an American based, you want to talk to our call center, you know, we will charge you a fee, like $100 to speak to our call center agent. And so it's going to be US based because that'll be the only way to keep jobs. I think that's a crazy thing. I think the H-1B visa will be gone in 5 years. The H-1B visa will be gone. Why would you keep H-1B visas? Well, they're cheaper. Yeah, but the US also has to look out for the people that work here too, the people that live here. You got to give them opportunities to work, or else the people will vote in for somebody who will, or there'll be some, you can't put everybody on welfare. You can't put everybody in the pot or whatever the case may be. So, and so there's going to be any skill that demands handcraft, work with your hands, carpenters, engineers, and other things. If you can find a way to get something like that now, and Michael, you're correct. That is going to be a solution Democrats will put up there. And so it will be the thing that will be presented as a major solution. It will be. You're 100% right on that. So that's the warning. At least we're talking about it now, and think about the entertainment industry. The entertainment industry will be completely gutted out in 4 years. You might look at the films that are being produced now, maybe some of the last films ever produced and made the old way forever, like major Hollywood studios. Think about it. If you could AI enough a Mission Impossible movie for $50 million instead of the $400 million it cost, I think a studio's not going to do that. Of course they're going to do that. They're going to jump at the chance to do it. So they're going to figure that out. And so, yeah, AI does have the potential to lead to the socialism road, because a lot of people would just be like, well, pay us, tax the businesses, and we'll live off of the income. You're a lot closer to living in the pot than we all realize. All right, folks, this is RickCast. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell on this beautiful Friday evening. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I love the fact that you guys are. Let's get to our second story of the day. From National Review. I know, I'm actually using National Review. It's crazy. Washington bishops file lawsuit challenging state law forcing priests to break the seal of confession. So Catholic bishops from the state of Washington have filed a lawsuit challenging a law requiring Catholic priests to break the seal of confessional to report information about suspected CA. We'll just call it CA. Of course, it is, other religions are not being targeted for that. Muslims aren't being targeted. Jewish aren't being targeted. Heck, even Protestants and evangelicals aren't being, targeted. The Washington Governor Bob Ferguson, himself a Catholic, recently signed legislation singling out Catholic clergy as supervisors who cannot use legal privileges to defend themselves from its reporting requirements for child abuse investigations. I just went through. It's a news article on YouTube. It grants protections to other professions, including nurses and therapists, exempting them from having to report sensitive information. So, of course, the only ones they single out are Catholics. The confessional is a humbling place for all of us Catholics, right? We need to be able to repent of our deepest, darkest sins, because we're human, we fall. And if we don't have that, then we're lost. So let's see. The Bishops of Washington lawsuit filed on Thursday argues the new law violates First Amendment protections, the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause, and the Washington Constitution. At least they're calling that out. Catholic news website The Pillar first reported the lawsuit. Washington is targeting the Roman Catholic Church in a brazen act of religious discrimination without any basis of law or fact. Washington now puts Roman Catholic priests in an impossible choice: violate 2,000 years of church teaching and incur automatic excommunication, or refuse to comply with this law and be subject to imprisonment, fine, or civil liability. Well, I mean, there is no choice. You go to jail. The object of this law is clear: subject Roman Catholic clergy and dictate to the dictates of the state. The lawsuit lists Ferguson, the state attorney general, and others as defendants. Religious liberty law firm Beckett and First Liberty Institute, White Shoe Law Firm, blah, 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 are all going as well. This lawsuit says each Catholic diocese in the state already has CA reporting requirements that go further than Washington's law. Those requirements include divulging information to law enforcement or government agencies if church personnel suspect that child abuse or neglect is taking place. The Catholic bishops emphasize their support for protecting children while defending the sacred nature of the confession seal. Yeah. I don't have the actual thing on me, but we do not, Washington State is not going after public school teachers who we know for a fact, you could do a cursory search, for lack of a better term, if I say it right, of schools in Washington that have CA cases where teachers are interacting with students in a not so great way. And yet they're completely protected. We don't talk about that. But yet, because the state and the Democrats in there and the progressives view Catholicism as the enemy, they want to break the Catholic faith and they want to try and subject these priests to a choice that isn't even a choice. Guess what? Go to jail, which is what the bishop originally said when this came out. He said, nah, there is no choice here. We're either going to do this or we're going to go to jail. So we'll go to jail. And, it's true. Sacramental seal is inviolable, therefore is absolutely forbidden for a confessor to betray in any way a penitent in words or in any manner for fear of any reason. That's correct. That is 100% correct. Public schools is a predatorial ground right now, and it's not even men. It's women that are doing it. So, of course, silence from the governor of Washington, just more religious persecution after the Roman Catholic Church. So hopefully this lawsuit will go well for them and they can slap down the tyrannical involvements or desires of this mayor or this governor. All right, RickCast, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification. Let's move on to our next story. If you like what I do, hit the like button. If you really like what I do, I am going to be doing News from the Pew with Mr. Steve Cunningham at 7:30 8:30 Eastern time. So tonight is my double night. Usually it's Thursdays, but I don't like streaming. I don't like doing News from the Pew from hotel rooms because the Wi-Fi is terrible. Anyway, so tonight's going to be a little quicker. Well, I mean, it's not going to be. It's already longer than last night's show, so I don't know what I'm talking about. From Newsweek.com, U.S. Airlines start quietly charging more for solo travelers. Some of the biggest U.S. airlines are quietly charging for solo travelers more than passengers who book as a pair, according to recent industry findings. American Airlines, Delta Airlines, and United have also added a new fare rule in some cases, requiring passengers to book at least 2 tickets to access the cheapest fares. That means solo travelers could end up paying as much as 70% more for the same flight, but they'd have a spare seat, so they wouldn't have to have some fat person sit next to them. Travel site Thrifty Traveler found which I would actually pay more not to have a fat person sit next to me in an airplane, found the pattern while analyzing hundreds of domestic one-way fares. On a short United hop from Chicago O'Hare to Peoria, Illinois, a single ticket cost $269. But that same ticket dropped to $181 per person when booking 2 travelers. In some cases, basic economy options only appeared when searching for multiple passengers. Whether it's just been days, months, or even years, it's something that everyday travelers may realize is happening or how much it might be costing them, wrote Kyle Potter. The pricing tactic appears designed to target business travelers who often book last minute and travel alone. But that's not good. I mean, if they have to book 2 tickets, they're going to write it off to the company anyway. Airlines use different fare classes, set of pricing rules to set the same seats at different prices. Now, some of those fare classes are limited to booking with at least 2 passengers. I also think this is geared towards the Instagram girl who travels all over the world or travels to different places to do their travel vlogs, because those people are just the worst people on earth. Let's be real. Gary Leaf, a frequent flyer who writes for the airline industry, View from the Wing, reported that American Airlines was first to adopt the model, which internally is called P2 for passenger 2. Delta and United have now followed suit, and according to Leaf, one example he highlighted, a solo ticket cost $422 for a one-way, while booking 2 tickets dropped it to $210. The rationale, according to airline analysts, is straightforward. Solo travelers are more likely to be business travelers who typically book flights with less concern about cost due to corporate budget. Airlines are using fare rules to target those perceived as less price sensitive. And guess what? I don't really care. Business people wouldn't care either because it's part of their expense now. So why would you care about that? All right, whatever. I got to pay a little bit more. I mean, they have business class. They have business class anyway. So it's weird how they're even talking about this because they have the business class structure set up. So why would they care about it? It's just so silly in that regard. But I don't know. I don't think it's funny. I actually think it's not towards, because they've had business class for forever. I think this is more towards your Instagram traveler that flies to these weird places. They're by themselves. Well, actually, they're not technically by themselves. Well, some are. Some have a crew that comes with them. Some it's just them and a bunch of camera equipment. So if it is what it is in that regard, we can start there. Ooh, let me see about that. Speaking of which, new airline seating arrangements. Let's see if there's y'all seen this. This is nuts. This is it. This is it right here. Let me see if I can get this article up. This is nuts. See, it's talking about cattle. Look at this. Look at this headline. This picture. Get out here. I'm trying to. Double-decker airplane seats could make flying coach a fresh hell. Could you imagine this? Imagine getting crop duster for like 3 hours on this flight. They're actually exploring this idea. Like the double-decker flight now, because nothing says enjoyment like having somebody's booty in your face for 2 hours at that point. Yeah. Oh, what about the standing seats? That's a good one too. Standing seats airlines. Yeah, that's the first one to come out. There we go. Yep, for short trips. Yep. Let me see if we don't have the actual pictures of them. Let me see the images here. Yeah, so there are some budget airlines that are trying to do this. Imagine the standing seat. So you kind of just like lean into the seat while you fly. I'll drive. I will not fly. I will drive. I ain't doing any of that. Or I just won't travel, which is one of the things that they're trying to do. So it's crazy. Travel's just getting worse and worse out there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, last story of the day here on RickCast. A little entertainment news. Let me get rid of these there. Did I get rid of the wrong friggin' story? I did. My gosh. Good thing I have history. Here we go. Last story of the day. From .com. Movie theater owners want to vote for Oscars and push to join the Academy. Now, this is actually the smartest thing they could do, because movie theater owners will just give it to their lead projectionist, and their lead projectionist, who watches essentially every film anyway, because they have to put the films together and then preview the film to make sure it's running. So they've seen pretty much every film. They're probably more qualified than any actor, director, or producer that is voting on the Academy. The end of June, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences is expected to extend invitations to a new class of members who meet the professional qualifications to join the most prestigious club in Hollywood. This annual membership expansion is attracting particular attention this year from theater owners, a group that hopes to see more of its colleagues included among the people who vote for Oscar nominations and winners. Historically, the Academy, quote unquote, members have been skewed towards creative professionals, including directors, writers, actors, producers, and craftsmen, as well as studio executives and technicians. So while a handful of exhibitors are already members of the organization, many in the theatrical exhibiting community argue their unique perspective is underrepresented, especially because they do not have a skin in the game, right? When you give it to actors, they want to hang out with like other actors, or they're trying to help their buddy. Studios are trying to help their own projects. Creatives are not good at judging people because they're creatives. They want everybody to be happy with everything. Need more analytical people. It's not unusual for professional groups within Hollywood to lobby for greater recognition or inclusion in the Academy. Decade-long campaign to acknowledge casting and stunt professionals has made notable progress. The new Oscar category for casting will debut in 2026, just in time for Tom Cruise not to be nominated for it, or anybody from the John Wick series, followed by a stunt category in 2028. The milestones follow years of advocacy, member petitions, and internal deliberations. So this is just something to look at. And if you care anything about the Oscars, or films, having the theater owners have a say in who wins. Also, because when a movie wins Best Picture, they kind of go back and they do like a 3-week theater run. Because people want, oh, this movie won Best Picture, so they re-release it for a couple weeks. Movie theaters want popular films to win Academy Awards. So people, like when, I don't know, I'm gonna make up a title of a movie. The Shepherd's Goat on the Top of the Roof wins the Oscar for Best Picture. Nobody wants to go see that movie because it's an indie arts woke nonsense. There were times when Gladiator won Best Picture, right? The Godfather won Best Picture. Movies that people actually want to go out and see. And theater owners are going to go, listen, maybe we can give a Best Picture like Lord of the Rings, or even Titanic, even though Rose is the biggest villain in film history. These films win Academy Awards, people go out and see them again. They re-release them, and the theaters make more money. And so I'm glad that the theater owners are at least now trying to step in and get a bigger voice for them. Is it a little too late? Maybe, because of AI and all that stuff. But hey, good for them, I guess. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this episode of RickCast. I'm going to be on with Steve Cunningham at News from the Pew, on the News from the Pew channel in like 30 minutes. We say 8:30 Eastern. Yeah, show up at 8:30. Maybe we'll start on time. I don't know. Either way, we'll be there tonight. We are going to be talking about a bunch of different stuff as well. I will see you all on Monday. Please do me a favor on your way out the door, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, and that'll help the show grow as well. Thank you to the bar rats in the comment section for your awesome commentary and making the show that much better. I will talk to y'all on Monday. God bless. Y'all stay safe. And until that day comes, free Dexter Taylor.